Hello everyone, welcome back. Let's get started with the coding for our archery project. So once you have signed in to Scratch using our class account, if you go to My Stuff, you will see that I've already created individual templates for you with your name on it for archery. Okay, so just look for your name and your project, click on See Inside to edit your code. So for today's template, you will have an arrow sprite and a backdrop of a target board. Okay, so if you want, you can redesign the sprite and the backdrop, or you can just get started with the coding. Okay, so let's start with the arrow sprite first. We're going to make it start somewhere near the bottom like here, and we're going to start it at a big size. So these are the codes I'm going to add. When green flag is clicked, we're going to start the game by broadcasting a hidden message. This is going to be called new arrow. So actually this is going to be the message that will tell us when we can launch a new arrow. Okay? So once done, I'm going to receive the message new arrow. So this should happen automatically. Once you send out, you will receive it. We are going to make our target go to a fixed position. Okay, we're going to start it at x minus 50, y minus 50. So it should be somewhere near the bottom here. And we're going to set a starting size of 400%. Okay, we're going to start it at big size first, because later we're going to do a shrinking effect. Alright, so if you were to test this out, okay, automatically your arrow sprite should start at a big size at this position. Okay, now let's add the code for it to glide randomly around. So I'm just going to continue my receive arrow code, bring out a forever block, put it under the size, and we're going to bring out a random gliding block. Okay, today instead of using the first random glide block, I'm going to use the glide block with the X and Y position. It's because I'm going to limit the value for X and Y such that my arrow sprite only moves within the game screen. It doesn't go to the edge. Okay, I don't want it to go to the edge. That's why I'm going to use the X and Y, and I'm going to use a number range for each of them. Okay, so I'm going to limit the number range to minus 150 to 150. Okay, so we're going to make sure that our arrow sprite moves within the screen and not at the edge. Okay, once done, let's quickly test this out. Alright, so automatically your arrow sprite should start following this new message already and moving around. Okay, great. Now let's add the control to launch it. So today we're going to use the space bar. So let's bring out an event for that. When the space key is pressed, we are first going to make sure we freeze these two movement codes. So I'm going to bring out a control stop all other scripts in sprite block. Okay, so these codes will stop first. Now I'm going to do a shrinking effect for my target. So I'm going to do this code. Repeat 50 times. I'm going to go to looks, change the size of my target by minus 10. So this is a shrinking effect. Okay, so it should work something like this. Okay, so it looks as though the arrow is going into the board. Alright, so once done, once it has shrunk, I'm going to make it touch certain colors. Okay, and get some points. So let's add on our conditions. If I happen to sense that I'm touching, let's start with the outermost color. No, let's start from within. Okay, let's do the innermost first. If I'm touching yellow, then I'm going to say, let's give about 200 points. I'm going to say 200 points for 1 second. Alright, and then I'm going to duplicate this code. Now, the next color, if I'm touching the next color red, okay, I'm going to drop the points a bit because it's easier to hit the red than the yellow. I'm going to make it about 150 points. Okay, repeat this for all the other colors. So blue would be minus 50 points, so this will be 100. Black would be 50 points. Okay, we are going lower. And finally, when it reaches the white and beyond, we will not gain any points. Okay, so this is too easy to hit, so we're going to drop the points to 0. Alright, so everyone, once a color has been touched, we are going to make sure that we can relaunch the arrow again. So we're going to bring up another broadcast, new arrow block. Okay, so what happens here is that your arrow code will follow in sequence, follow in order from when you do this, press the space key all the way. Okay, so let's test this out. Press the space key, launch the arrow, touch your color, get a certain point, and then it should auto restart. Okay? Now let's add some sound effects for this to make it interesting. I'm going to go to sounds. I'm going to choose a hitting sound and a cheer sound. So you can choose your own sound effect for this. I'm going to use a tennis hit sound for when it hits the other parts of the target board. And I'm going to add a cheer sound for when I hit the bullseye, which is the yellow color. Okay, so let's fit in these sound codes. So for each of the touching color, I'm just going to bring out this block. Start sound. Okay, so for bullseye, we're going to start sound cheer. For the other colors, we're going to start the sound tennis hit. Okay, let's just do a duplicate for this. And we're going to pop it in for all the color blocks. Okay, yeah, so you should see a sound effect like this. Okay, that will make it more interesting. Okay, so we're going to pause here. We're going to move on to add some music to our game because it sounds a bit quiet. So let's click on stage. Okay, let's go to the sounds tab. We're going to choose a pleasant background music for this. So you can choose your own under the group loops. I'm going to set a xylophone sound. Okay, so I'm going to use Xylo 3. Once done, I'm going to make this sound play forever when I click the green flag. So when I launch the game. Forever, play sound Xylo until done. Okay, very nice, so pleasant. Okay, now that for the exciting part, we're going to introduce score into our game to make sure that we can earn the points. So I'm going to hop back to my arrow sprite. I'm going to create my variable for score. Okay, so what's going to happen is for each of the color touching code, I'm going to make sure I add in a change score variable. So if touching color yellow, change my score variable by, maybe I pop it in under the 200. 200. Okay, for touching red, let me just duplicate this block. I'm going to change score instead by 150. Okay, let me just duplicate a few more for this. For blue, it would be 100. And finally, for the black, that would be 50. We won't need to do anything for the white because that is already automatically 0. Okay, so pop it into the correct conditions. Okay, make sure that your save block matches your score points given. Alright, let's test this out quickly. And automatically you should see a score point change. Okay, so everyone, you notice that my game didn't start from a score of 0. So let's pop in a set score to 0 code for the start of your game. So where can we put this in? We can pop this in right at the start over here. Okay, because we only need to launch this once. Alright, now once done, let's move on to our time. We're going to set a countdown timer. So I'm going to make a new variable called timer, or you can call it time. Okay, and I'm going to do this code under my stage. So let's hop over to stage. Okay, we are going to do another green flag event. So when green flag is clicked, we are first going to set our time to 0. Oh, sorry, not set time to 0. We're going to give you some time. So let's start at 30 seconds for this game. to set our timer to 30 seconds, and we're going to do a countdown. So let's bring out a for repeat block. So how to do a countdown is repeat the number of times that you've set. Repeat 30 times for a 30-second timer. We are going to wait a second, and then we are going to change the timer by -1. So this actually does a countdown. Okay, so once done, we are going to broadcast a message called game over. Okay, so once the timer reaches 0 at the end of the repeat, we're going to broadcast a new message called game over. Okay, now we're going to make our game interesting. We're going to have a sprite that will pop up with the words game over. So for this, I'm going to create a new sprite. Go to paint. Okay, I'm going to just very quickly create the words game over and click green flag to try again. Alright, so before you do that, you can choose your fill color for the text. I'm going to go white, and I'm going to choose the marker font. Game over. Okay, use the arrow tool to select your text and resize. I'm going to add an outline to make it pop up as well. Okay, so this will allow you to be able to see your words. Okay, maybe pop it somewhere in the middle here. Okay, no worries if you don't see it in the middle in your screen, because we can code for it to set at the middle later. Okay, now I'm going to add a second line of text. Okay, just going to do a copy and paste, and I'm going to double click to change the words. Click green flag to play again. Okay, and then use the arrow tool to resize it smaller and pop it into the middle of the screen. Okay, there we go. So this is our game over sprite. Alright, I'm going to go to the code panel. Going to rename this sprite as game over. Okay, so at least we know that this message is supposed to pop up when it receives the game over message. Okay, so let's do the coding for this. So at the start of your game, when green flag is clicked, we are first going to hide this sprite. So go to looks, hide. Okay, and then we're going to show this sprite only when it receives the game over message. So back to events. When I receive game over, then I am going to go to the middle of the screen. So go to X0, Y0. And I'm going to show myself. Okay, alright, so this is the code for it. I won't test it out now because we will have to wait 30 seconds for that. So we will test this out later. Okay, so this should work. Now once done, let's make our game even more exciting. We are going to add a high score variable. So let's go back to stage. I'm going to create a new variable called high score. Okay, and I'm going to pop in this high score code just before the game over broadcast. Okay, sorry, just after that. So let's add a condition. If I'm going to bring out a more than sign, something more than something. So if our variable score happens to be more than our high score, then we are going to set the high score to the score. So this replaces your high score with your highest score that you got. Okay, now once done, we're going to make sure that we can end the game after the broadcast. So let's go back to control. We're going to bring out a stop block to stop the entire game. Okay, so everyone, if you notice that all your counters are stuck together, you can feel free to drag them to reposition them. Okay, to make it look neat. Okay, we're done. Let's test out the whole game to make sure it works. You can do a full screen for this. Hit the green flag. Okay, there we go. So when time equals to 0, our game over code should pop up and the whole game will freeze. Okay, and then what will happen is near the end of the game, the high score will be updated to your next highest score. Alright, so everyone, this is completed. Don't forget to save your work, so click on File, Save Now. Okay, make sure that you can see this indication, Project Save. Okay, once done, then you can sign out of Scratch and move back to eCampus to do your self-checklist. Alright, for those of you who have problems saving your work, if there's a message that says project cannot save, no worries, finish the whole project first and then do a file save to your computer. So once you have completed the project, it should save the whole work into your computer. Go to eCampus and upload this file that you have downloaded. Okay, so my instructions for that will be on eCampus. If you still need help, you can go to the eCampus page and click onto the help button. Alright, okay, so everyone, I'll leave you to this. Have fun with the work, enjoy the process. See you next week. Bye.